Welcome back to Popcorn for Breakfast, the spoiler-free movie review podcast. The MCU is back with a new film called Thunderbolts, this weekend. Can Marvel's very own island of misfit toy superheroes support a brand new chapter in a franchise riddled with inconsistency? Let's discuss. Spoiler free.
This is Popcorn for Breakfast, presented by St. Louis Area Smoothie Kings. Now, here are your hosts, Cam and Kirk.
You made it! You made it here to Popcorn for Breakfast. That's right, the spoiler-free movie review podcast where we discuss the latest and greatest films that are dropping and hitting your movie theaters or streaming in some cases. But this week, it's very exciting because we got to go to the theater to see Marvel's newest movie. This is the wonderful and impeccable co-host, Cam.
Thanks, man. Happy to be here.
I am the lower half of the co-hosting, and my name is Kirk. It's good to see you all.
I'm fired up. We are, like you said, back in the MCU for the second time this year following Captain America. What was that one? End up calling Brave New World?
I almost said
New
Winter
World
Soldier.
Order? Brave New World.
Brave New Order.
They changed the title of that movie a lot of times. But no, seriously, I'm excited to be here. We just crossed 12 a.m. Central Time here. But I'm fired up because we saw this movie 20 minutes ago.
Yes.
There's a lot to get into. We're going to keep it spoiler free for you. But there's just so much here. So it's going to be a really fun discussion. And I think the big question on everybody's mind is like, is this the return to form? Because I think no matter where you fall, people fall all over the spectrum on all of the more recent releases, everything kind of phase 4 and onward, everything post Endgame, right? Some people like some things, some people hate some things, some people liked it all, some people hated it all. But all of us are waiting for that moment, right?
Yeah.
Like that one, they did it, they're back. And it hasn't come yet. Captain America certainly wasn't that. And will it ever come? I think is a question a lot of people are wondering. Or is this the end of the MCU as we know it? Or is Thunderbolts the new beginning?
It's funny. I think about the future, and I think about if there's a movie that can turn it around. And if you have younger children or you're planning to have kids, they're not here yet. They're on the way. They're in some kind of tube, right? And you think to yourself, what movies am I going to skip in the MCU entirely and not waste their time?
Yeah.
Or are you going to say, you're going to sit down and you're going to watch this timeline from beginning to end?
Yeah, it's a good question, and I think this is like, in sports you talk about like legacy games. Like this is we're in kind of like the legacy game moment for Marvel, where it's like make or break time. Like they need to start rebuilding this thing back to its former glory. Otherwise, the MCU for a lot of people ends at Endgame, and a lot of people are comfortable with that and okay with that. And I think that we're sort of teetering on that line. With there's a lot of forgettable entries since then. And, is it even possible? This is, I think, a lot of the question that I've had personally is like, is there too much baggage? To be frank, I've skipped a lot of the recent shows because I was watching all of them, and it was like the diminishing returns, just like kept getting, not necessarily worse and worse and worse, but it didn't get better,
right,
with the TV shows. And so I kind of took a break from that. I've stuck with all the films. I've seen all the films. I'm still locked in there. But yeah, I mean, this is, beating a dead horse, but like everybody's talking about it. They are at a turning point this year in 2025. Will this be the heel turn back towards their former glory, or will it be more of the same? And if it's more of the same, how much longer can that really go on?
Maybe that's our asterisk today.
Maybe it is.
We might tell you. We might not. You'll find out. But today, we're going to go through this film. We're piece by piece. We've got 5 major categories to get to. That's right, 5 categories we're going to talk about, and the Oscar goes to. That's our best actor category. We're going to give it to the top of the list. We're also going to discuss the scene stealer. That's best supporting actor. Then we're going to move on to showstopper. That's a moment in the movie that made us just awestruck. Like, wow, I can't believe this is happening. This is exactly what I wanted. It's delivering, firing on all cylinders. Or asterisk, it could also be something related to the production value or the writing or a specific character development, all sorts of things. Everything's fair game. And then we're going to talk about the director's shoes, where we will step into the director's shoes here of this director, which is
Jake Schreier.
Thank you, Jake
Jake
Schreier.
Schreier, interesting director,
Mhm.
but we can get into it whenever we get to that point.
When we get into his shoes,
Yes, I'm sure they're quite cozy.
we need to have
I
like a
hope he wears a
second.
size 14. That's going to be
Oh,
embarrassing.
are you a size
I
14?
am. Well, I'm ginormously tall.
How
and
dare you?
No, I'm
How dare you just drop that information?
I'm basically like, yeah, I'm like Shaquille O'Neal, only not cool. Is basically what's going on here.
Do you have the Superman bed?
No, because you have to have money for that.
Oh,
So
well, you know,
one day though, one day.
Christmas is coming. And then finally, after we hop out of size 14 shoes, we're going to go into last looks, where we will talk about our final thoughts and score here.
I'm excited.
This is a hard time to begin this, because we do this thing where one of us picks the award for each category.
Oh, that's why I'm excited, Kirk. I was just about. I was
Let me
wondering.
finish. Let me finish. The next person cannot pick that same selection.
Yes.
It must be a different actor or a different thing. This is tough. This is tough being second. I am second. And Cam,
Sucks
you
to
have the
suck.
floor. And the Oscar goes to.
And the Oscar goes to, quite easily, Miss Flo, Florence Pugh. For anyone who got the Miss Flo reference, we are good friends now, and in eternity. So let me know. And yeah, I mean, so books will be written about the MCU. Books already have been written about the MCU. I've read them. Age of the MCU, a really interesting book, by the way, if you're interested in that sort of thing. This is something that's never been done in Hollywood, right? What they're doing. It's never been attempted. It's never been done. And it continues to kind of go down this winding road that was, for a long time, a chart that just kind of looked like this. And now it's more of like this kind of thing. But
in post-production, I want you to follow your finger and draw
my
that.
finger was like off the screen. But when those books are written, I am starting to think that the casting of Florence Pugh as Yelena Belova, for Sarah Hallie Finn, the longtime casting director of Marvel Studios, will be one of the crowning achievements, a la Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, Chris Pratt as Star-Lord. You know, these kind of like, you know, whenever she got cast in that role, she was in some stuff, some indie stuff, Midsummer, etc. People who had seen her knew she was great. People who hadn't seen her didn't know she existed, right? And now she is who she is, which is, to me, a preeminent talent in this entire industry. She just has the it factor. She's got that thing that cannot be taught. It just, you either have it or you don't. You
trauma.
know, there's been a lot of talk.
She has trauma. That leads to good actors. It's true.
Maybe, but there is a charisma with her. There is something about when she's on the screen, you just believe her. You just believe her. It doesn't matter which character she's playing. She lives it. She breathes it. It's just good old fashioned acting. I mean, people have talked about old Hollywood stars who had that, you know, like the Paul Newmans of the world, where it's like when he was on the screen, it was like, that was it. You know, like there was you had no question in your mind. And I think there are fewer and fewer of those types of people in existence, but I don't think it's hyperbole to say that Florence Pugh is one of these people. And that's why she's so necessary in a world like this, where there is so much ups and downs. There's so many ups and downs and so many inconsistencies. And she, since her initial appearance in Black Widow, has appeared multiple times. She's appeared in Hawkeye. She's appeared in other things, just kind of like popping up here and there, post-credit scenes, etc., whatever. And now here she is in the Thunderbolts, and you know, she's front and center on the poster. She's front and center in this movie, and the movie is all the better for it. I think she's just very gifted, and it's a character that, like, if you're a Marvel fan, you know, you read the comics, you're like, Yelena Belova, like, this character is kind of, you know, third, fourth tier in the whole hierarchy, but it doesn't matter when like in the hierarchy of the MCU, Florence Pugh is blazing that path forward and saying, like, I'm a force here. My character matters because of what I'm doing with it, and it's incredible.
I love that. I love that so much. And I loved it so much, it was going to be my first pick.
I know.
So that's
gotcha.
Fine. That's fine. You win. And the Oscar goes to Mr. And I wrote it wrong on my notes here. Lewis Pullman.
Did you write Bill
I
Pullman?
absolutely wrote his father,
Bill Pullman Jr.
Bill Pullman. Can we say who his character is? I can't remember if it was
Yeah,
released.
no, it's in the trailer.
Okay, perfect.
And yes, I think there was a very public recasting of this role.
That's right.
Because Steven Yeun was originally going to play
Yeah.
this character. So yeah, you're free to go.
Okay, great. So Lewis Pullman plays a character called Sentry. So if you're not familiar with Sentry, well, I guess I don't want to give that away, like what his powers are and stuff. So I'll leave that to be mysterious. You guys could check out the comics.
Yeah, that's
fair. If you're aching to see what it is or know what it is. But Sentry is a very complex superhero, and who would have guessed that that Lewis Pullman would come enter this world? He's had some notable credits. He had a cameo in the Twisters sequel, requel sequel with Glenn Powell and Daisy Edgar Jones, which he was brief and fantastic. I never would have guessed that this much energy and thoughtfulness would come from him, but it makes perfect sense because that's the kind of actor his father, Bill Pullman, was. So what I love about Lewis in particular is that Lewis really didn't enter the acting world until much later in his life, and certainly a long period of time after his father passed. So when we want to criticize nepotism, it's something that I know and I can see that he has natural talent because he is his father's son. But B, he has worked hard to make sure that when he shows up on screen, he gives it his all. Fascinating performance, very unique, as he has the features of a person, of a man that no one else has. But that's not in a bad way. He is every man, but he is no man. So I love watching him on scene. He is electric, and he is thinking and intentional in every single frame of this movie. So shout out Lewis Pullman.
He wasn't in Twisters.
He was. He was.
Oh, just cameo?
He cameoed. There's a moment when they run into a hotel. He is checking in, and his girlfriend is screaming.
You're right. Wow, I totally missed that completely.
Yep.
Yeah, I always think of him now from Top Gun Maverick, and wasn't his character in that also named Bob? Like, wasn't that his nickname in it?
It was. It absolutely was.
And Sentry's name is Robert Reynolds, and his nickname is Bob.
Yes.
So that's kind of funny. It kind of aligned that way. I think it's an excellent choice, and I do think it's a nuanced performance. And I do think Sentry, like you said, we'll stay away from the powers for those of you who don't know. But this is one of those, if you know, you know. Very cool character, very layered, interesting character, and one that this is, one of the good things about the MCU and how much success that they've had. This is a character that just, frankly, would not get a movie or be in a movie in the previous age of like superhero films and things like that. So I think that the success of the MCU is like, you can see it in ways like this, where it's like, well, now we have a movie with Sentry in it, and just like interesting things like that. So I think it's a great choice. You kind of put me in a tough spot here, though, Kirk.
That's fine. While you think about who you want to pick for your scene stealer, I would like to express that many moons ago on an episode, I threw my hat in to be Sentry because he's blonde and he's down to earth. He's had a tough life, and he's now he's a superhero. So I just think
he's an everyman.
That I wish that I could have stepped up for the role. I think I was busy. I was in my son's production of Newsies. I think that's why they said, you know what, filming is just not going to work out.
It's not going to work out. Yeah. She called Sarah Haley Finn. She called. Yeah. She was familiar. She'd seen the episode, obviously.
Yeah.
You're a busy guy. You're a busy guy. I mean, it happens.
I just wanted to address the elephant in the room so
no
one was worried about anything and not confused that they saw Bill Pullman's son show up.
Yeah. Thank you. I do feel like a weight has been lifted, and now we can carry on with the episode. So thank you.
Perfect. Not to interrupt or derail for too long. Tell us who your scene stealer is, Kim.
My scene stealer. After much deliberation, I'm gonna go with David Harbour.
Hey,
Mr. Alexei, Mr. Red Guardian himself, returning once again in the MCU. So this is another appearance for him, and you look at this performance and you look at this character for him and you go, oh, it's gimmicky. It's, the hilarity of the Russian accent, the over the top Russian accent, the whole like fat former glory kind of superhero. He's not fat. He's actually in pretty good shape, I would say. But just like, that's kind of what he is. He's kind of disheveled, this whole thing, the whole thing that he has been since his entrance into the MCU. And so you expect him to kind of come in and be this really gimmicky, source of comedy and things like that. And don't get me wrong, the comedy's all there, and it's there. It's glorious, and there's so many funny moments, and he contributes so many things. But there is so much more than that, and I think that that's what whenever David Harbour really burst onto the scene with Stranger Things, it was a similar type of role of this person who like thinks they're kind of washed up, feels like they could have been, like feels like they were cut down in their prime, etc. But there's this humanity also, and I think that's he's brought that to the Red Guardian. He brings that to every role that he does that I've seen him in, and I think it's so great, and I think that this him and Florence Pugh kind of playing off each other with this like father-daughter dynamic that they have developed really since that first Black Widow movie, and just continuing that arc here in this movie. It's a beautiful thing. It feels very real. There's a lot of chemistry between those two, and I just tip my hat to him. I think he did a great job.
Yeah, he's like a wrecking ball. David Harbour is.
Just broke my chair.
Oh, neat.
Almost
Exclusive.
I was just, these hand grip things are magnetic, and I would just like
magnetic.
Yeah,
that's like a superhero move. Like
just
if there was an
off.
Intruder, you could rip that off and gosh. Wow, your control is great because that was like a centimeter from my face.
No, my control is not great. You just got
roll
lucky.
the tape.
You need to do a slow-mo.
Cam was so into talking about David Harbour, heard me say wrecking ball, and he was like, I'm going to destroy everything in here right now. It's so good. It's such a great pick. The only other choice past that, my scene stealer, goes to Mr. Wyatt Russell. Speaking of Nepo babies, I'm only choosing Nepo babies.
Only Nepo babies tonight. Go for it, Kirk. Live your truth.
Wyatt Russell, Kurt Russell's son. You wouldn't know it unless you look deeply into his eyes. Just look deeply into my eyes, Cam. Am I Kurt Russell's son?
No, you're not.
No, I'm not.
You're
I
not.
wish I was. I wish I had his hair. I wish I had his jawline, but alas, I don't. I have an Irishman's jawline, which is not existent. I think that what Wyatt Russell brings to the table is just this sharp wit. And if David Harbour is always teetering on this comedic wrecking ball to turning on a dime and fighting for exactly what he believes in, knowing exactly what is right and what is wrong, Wyatt Russell is somewhat of a foil to him, where he lives in the wrong and he is surprised when things go right. And so he is the pessimist, and he is just true to form, just a killing machine in this movie and in every iteration we've seen him in previously. And I just love to watch him on screen. I really, really do. If you haven't had a chance to see Wyatt Russell, he's the best part of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, the series. And check out any of his other films. Roll through IMDb, just play him out. Even if you're just watching an episode of some TV series he's in, he is just fire. Like you will be a moth to his flame, and you will just be caught up in it. He's so great to watch.
It's a great choice. That was the one I was between, the two. I do think there are some moments in his performance where the line reads aren't stellar. I think, who knows what the reason could be. A lot of times it was the writing. A lot of times it was, it could be, we're losing our light. This is the last take and it's the best take you get, whatever. But a lot of that really happens early in the film. And in general, I think a lot of the clunkiness in this movie happens early in the film. So we can talk about that in a bit.
It's true.
But it's a good performance.
Cam, tell me what your showstopper moment is for Thunderbolts ***.
Yes. I'm pleased to say, for the first time in a very, very long time, my standout in this MCU movie is the story.
Wow.
Which, for my money, has been the issue of this whole thing, with the MCU's sort of fall from glory, has been the story. A lot of people have pointed to the visual effects. They've pointed to the quality, using, the editing, all this stuff, feeling rushed, feeling unfinished, all these things. And that stuff's there in these like post Endgame type projects, and you can see it. But the bigger issue has always, for me, been the story. And here's what's interesting about this one. Our screenwriters, it's kind of like the Thunderbolts themselves, kind of an unlikely pairing. So the movie is written by Eric Pearson and Joanna Callow. So Eric Pearson is a Marvel stalwart. He's been around. He wrote on Thor Ragnarok. He wrote on I think Ant-Man and the Wasp. He wrote on Black Widow for sure. And Joanna Cowlow on the other side is the Emmy award winning showrunner of The Bear, and she's she's written for Hacks. She's written for all of these really successful Beef, which was also directed by Jake Schreier, by the way. And so you've got this person who understands in Eric Pearson how to write a superhero movie and how to write a superhero story and how to balance all the things that Marvel needs for their secret sauce, their formula, and how they do things. But then you've got Joanna Cowlow, who, and I apologize if I'm pronouncing the last name wrong, who her expertise is in human stories, ground level, right? The Bear, Hacks, even like this is really human, intimate, personal type stories. And the product of that is that you get a superhero movie that's about humans. And I think that that's what works here. And it's not perfect. There are times where thematically it's heavy-handed, but the themes are still beautiful and well crafted. And I'm not going to get into them because it would kind of spoil some of what's going on there. But every character too has a place, which thank goodness we got back to this in the MCU. That was what they did so well in the early going. People didn't care about Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark because he was Iron Man. Sure, Iron Man's super cool. They cared about Tony Stark, and that character and the humanity that was there. And that's what gets people going. And when you've got a cast of characters that's like U.S. Agent, Ghost, Yelena Belova, Red Guardian, yuck.
What do you do with that?
C-list characters, you need human stories to bring them to life. They all played a role thematically. They all played a role in the story. It comes together really beautifully in the end. And even though the dialogue is clunky and there's this, that, and the other, the story at its core is good and it permeates throughout the whole thing. And that's what I talk about a lot whenever we review movies. Bad script equals bad movie every single time. Good script can raise the ceiling on a movie because it just filters its way through. Everybody knows what style of movie they're creating, and you just go. And I think that part of the genius behind this movie is pairing those two writers from very different backgrounds.
I did not know that about the writers. That makes a lot of sense in a lot of ways, especially for the extended kitchen scene where they were all shouting "Yes, chef" to each other. What are we doing here?
That part's clicking into place now, right?
Yeah. I mean, it looked delicious.
Jeremy Allen White was there, and it was the whole thing.
He came storming in with F-bombs galore. I thought this was PG-13. Let's move on to my showstopper, which I'm gonna shrink this down to a single scene. It's an introductory scene of when we see Sentry get to really fight. Something incredible about each hero that we've ever encountered in the entire MCU is, what are they battling individually? What are they battling together? But one big indicator that we don't talk about enough is their fight style is very unique to them for whatever reason, for their powers. How much energy do they need to exert? What's their background? Are they Shang-Chi? Are they martial artist masters? Or are they a ghost and you can just go through people, right? So with Sentry, with his powers and with his strength and with everything involved with it, it was so perfect. I didn't even know what I wanted this to look like, and it was just perfect. We get an intro scene to him fighting, and it's not something brief. It's an extended scene, and I loved every minute of it. And a lot of this goes to Lewis Pullman, was that he was so thoughtful and intentional with every strike that came at him and every punch that he threw. It was very, very remarkable. I really loved that whole moment. I think my jaw was wide open, and I stopped breathing for a few minutes when that happened.
Yeah, and just from a filmmaking perspective, the camera angles, the blocking, the editing, really well done in that scene. It pops big time. You'll know this is big. It feels big. Really, pretty much everything done around Sentry was really well done. I mean, when have they done a character intro better than this?
I mean,
recently.
Almost. I mean, it would have been better if I was in there, but it's fine.
Oh yeah, of course. I forgot.
Fine.
Sorry, that goes without saying.
It's fine.
That's the asterisk on this movie.
Should have been Kirk.
I love it.
I won't mention that in my director's shoes.
Sure.
I'll just put it to rest. But Cam, I would like you to kick off your director's shoes with what you would have fixed.
Yeah, I'm gonna use the other side of the same coin that I used for my showstopper, which is the script and the ways in which the MCU as a collective drags this movie
Mhm.
down. It's part of the issue that we've really had with a lot of recent MCU entries is, things like Captain America movie that just came out. What was it called? Brave New World? Why can I not remember? Like, I saw it in theaters and I follow this stuff very closely.
I believe it was
It was
called
Brave New World. It wasn't
yeah.
New World. Okay. Sorry.
That was the final title.
But like one of the main issues with that movie is you've got all this baggage from around the MCU that you have to reconcile. And this movie has that issue too. I mean, when you're coming into it, you've got to untangle a huge web of exposition to get people on the right page, right? Because it's
Mhm.
like we've got umpteen different projects and movies and shows coalescing here at the beginning of this movie. And in order to make that make sense, there's no easy way to do that. Like, you just got to trudge through some exposition, and it's tough, dude. It's
Mhm.
tough at the beginning, and we're getting some rough dialogue at the beginning because of it. Really through the whole first third of the movie, and because of that, some of the performances really suffer. I mean, Julia Louis Dreyfus, who I love and adore and respect. I've been a Seinfeld fan my whole life. I think she's brilliant, brilliant in Veep. Just not giving us anything really through the majority of it, but a lot of it is the writing. The writing was just really tough, and I think it's just because of where the MCU is at. So,
Mhm.
I've seen a lot of critics whenever they talk about this, they say like, "Oh, it's better than the MCU has been," or it's worse, it's still more of the bad MCU. So it's hard to, when I look at those reviews, I go like, why do they have to review this movie within the lens of the MCU? They should review it as a film and then go, how does that compare to the rest of the MCU?
Yeah.
But there is just a lot of it that it's hard to separate, and that really drags it down at the beginning. And hopefully they can get clear of that. The good thing about early MCU is there was so much confidence and there was so much buy-in from the people who were watching. They didn't have to wait for you to catch up. They didn't have to catch you up. They were just like, we're going. And you either are with us or you're not with us.
Right.
But most people were with them. And there was a confidence, and there was kind of like they were kind of like peacocking with it a little bit. And now there's that confidence is gone.
Mhm.
And they're like, okay, we got to bring the audience back in. We got to pull them back in.
Yeah.
So like, let's cut through all the noise quick and then get into the story.
Mhm.
So they did that, but it was bumpy.
It was hard. It was hard. That's wonderful. I have 4 items
Woo!
I'd like to discuss.
Well, let's
So
go.
get ready, everybody. Pour your coffee, pull over, get some gas.
buckle up.
I think there's too many jokes per minute.
Mm.
This is something that they sometimes go all in on, sometimes they don't. I don't know if it's one particular studio executive like smoking a cigar, like, hey, there's not enough jokes in it. Put a few more laughs. Hey. And he dances off into the sunset.
That's exactly how it happened.
Just like that, right? He's wearing a vaudevillian pinstripe suit as well. Yes, I think that's the stress of that is definitely a studio note. The studio saying like, we need more XYZ, and they need to back off because it totally interrupts the flow of anything, even when you're delivering needed exposition, labored exposition, and they're like throwing like 6 jokes in a 30-second span. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it so much.
Yes.
So slow down on the jokes, only write it when they make sense. There's a few moments of really lazy CGI early on that I'm like, this could have been practical. Why did we do this? Or just not have it at all. I think Sentry's arc is a bit rushed in a very specific split scene. Something happens. We see Sentry. We break to our Thunderbolts core group. We break back to Sentry, and it's like, whoa. We moved really fast on this, so it's rushed a bit. Even though I love overall Sentry and Sentry's character, I just think there's a rough patch that they just kind of just punched together, and I think there should have been more finesse with it. And which is kind of like the rest of this movie. The pacing rises and falls like a roller coaster. There's no the sequencing through the movie where you have something interesting and you climb and you climb, you dip a little, then you climb and climb, dip a little maybe, the climax of the film, and then the resolve and fall. It just up and down, up, down, up, down. And that doesn't give trust to your audience. It breaks the trust with your audience to say, look here, all right, big action scene, all right, character development. Action scene, character development. That breaks up everything. It doesn't do that the whole film, but it does it for a lot of the third, like Cam mentioned earlier. And that grinds my gears, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, good.
Those are my shoes. My size 14 director's shoes, Cam.
We'll have to contact Jake Schreier.
I also.
Oh, gross.
Are they dirty? I'm so sorry. I didn't check before.
No, I'm shocked by bare feet. That was shocking.
I'm sorry. I didn't wear socks today.
Now we have to put
one more time
a rating disclaimer on this episode. We should reach out to Jake Schreier and be like, hey, we're from a movie podcast. What size shoe do you wear? We don't want to ask you any other questions. We just care about what size shoe you wear.
Oh,
it's important.
I think we just DM every single director after we see their movie, like, what size shoe do you wear? We need to know.
Yeah.
And we post it.
We do. And then we're like, all right, here we go.
Oh, I absolutely love that. We're going to do that. I will find your DMs out there. Look out. Ryan Coogler, I'm going to retroactively hit you up, man.
Ryan Coogler, the Crocs. I'm still believe the Crocs theory from last week. Still believe that. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Well, let's do it. Last looks. Last looks is the term for right before the camera and the director yell. The camera doesn't yell this way. Right before the director yells action, you say last looks. Make sure the lighting is right. Make sure the temperature is right. Make sure the actors are ready. Make sure everything is in place. This is what we want to talk about. We want your attention as we tell you our final thoughts and score, spoiler free.
Yeah. Listen, if you have, I don't know, I would say my perspective on movies tends to be very story heavy. Like, I like a story, and that doesn't mean not every movie is a narrative picture, right? But if you are, story for me is like such a huge part of it. If you've watched my reviews or whatever, you've seen me nuke movies before that are well made, but the story has issues. Maybe I will be doing the opposite here, which is that this movie has issues. This movie has some issues, but it's got a good story at its core with characters that make sense within the story and themes that come together very nicely around those characters and pull it all together. And so that for me is such a massive achievement. And I feel like, yes, there are moments where the dialogue is rough. Yes, there are moments like you talked about where there's some weird CGI blips where it's like the body physics was weird and it just takes you out of it for a second. Mm-hmm. There are moments where it's like, okay, guys, cool it on the jokes. We know you're trying to establish chemistry. We know you're trying to get us to like some of these unlikable characters, but like, let's find a more genuine way to do that. There's all of that. There's all of that and more. But what there also is there's some really good, thoughtful filmmaking here too, in terms of it's a lot more intimate than a lot of superhero movies in terms of how it's shot, how it's edited together. The like I said earlier, the camera angles, the blocking, it's very thoughtful. Even during those action sequences too, they're not just like, all right, and here comes a big action sequence, let's change our whole style. No, it all goes hand in hand. There's a consistency with it that I really like. I agree with you that the pacing struggles. I think a lot of that comes from, again, what they're trying to pull off here, which is pretty ambitious. And I think that, again, a lot of that stuff I'm willing to forgive. So for me, I know like the big talk on this movie is like, it's got a 90% on Rotten Tomatoes. And we have on this podcast before gone into all the reasons why you have to, always take Rotten Tomatoes with a grain of salt just because of how that score is published. It's still a good barometer, but it's not perfect. And no movie scoring anything is perfect. That's just the way of it. I'm not in the 9s on this movie, so I'm not there. I'm not where the tomato meter is, but I am solidly in the high 7s on this movie. I thought it was a strong entry with a good story, with good characters, and that for me goes a really, really long way. So I'm giving it a 7.9.
Whoa,
out of 10.
That's 7.9.
7.9. Sorry, yes.
Cameron didn't forget math.
No, 7.9 out of 10.
He's such a mathematician that he's like, that the point is inferred. The decimal point is there, ladies and gents.
It's
out
there.
of 10. 7.9 out of 10. Beautiful score. Last looks for me. I was really worried about this. I was really looking forward to seeing this movie. I had a lot of high hopes. I was like, this will be the one that turns it, even more than Deadpool and Wolverine, which has its own merits. This movie, the struggle bus is real, but the story was strong enough, and even more importantly, the acting was so well done. When you have a crew of veteran actors and even newcomer actors alike, where they can look at this somewhat messy script and say, I know what my character needs to do. I know what my character needs to deliver. I'm coming in. I'm doing that every day when we film. And each one of them did it. So my score is brought up by that, but brought down by the messy pacing and the bad jokes. I just can't do bad jokes. I make a lot of bad jokes in jest. I acknowledge that, but I'm not making them for a feature film.
Yep.
Okay, let's just be clear there. So my score today is a 6.0 out of 10 kernels.
Yeah, that's not bad.
I got to see Brave New World. I've not seen it yet.
Do you though?
I got to see it.
I think you do. Because I think you need to see all the Marvel movies for the whole thing to come together, which has been a point of criticism for it. But I also think it's kind of a silly point of criticism because it's like, what are we doing here? My
favorite thing that happened right before this movie is Stefano, who you have seen on the episodes. You've seen his blogs on our website, popcorn4breakfast.com. That's popcorn4breakfast.com. Stefano texted us on our group chat and he said, what do I need to watch before this? And I gave him a laundry list of like 8 different things that he's not seen. And he said, I'm absolutely not going to do that.
give me the most important one. It's like, okay, Black Widow.
Make sure you see Black Widow. There's 8 characters from that in this movie.
But I feel like where I'm at now, which is like, I've seen all the movies, but I haven't seen all the shows. I'm feeling good. Maybe it's just that, maybe this is like an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. era thing where like, you don't have to, not that I don't know that any of the shows are.
They're coming for you.
That bad.
The Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. fandom, like the pro Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. people, they will cut your throat.
Yeah, I gotta watch out for that one. That's a trigger word.
I'm not one of them. I couldn't care less, but they're gonna get you.
But maybe it's one of those things where it's like these shows exist and are happening, but they, you're good without them. Like you just keep doing your thing. Not the case for this one with the Valentina, Allegra Dufontaine type things and etc. But maybe in the future it will be like that. So
maybe
a lot of people have criticized it for the homework that you have to do, which I think was silly pre the shows. But I think it's justified post the shows, where it's like, not only do I have to watch these movies, but I have to watch 16 different straight to Disney Plus TV shows. Like, come on. But yeah, I can't wait to hear what you guys all have to say about Thunderbolts. I'm interested to see what consensus is going to be. Obviously the movie is just now coming out, so even though we've got a lot of critics reviews, there aren't a lot of audience reviews out there, and I'm really interested to see where people land on this one. I expect a mixed bag, but I think good. You were in the 6, I was in the 7. So yeah, feeling strongly about this one.
I need you to vamp for a second. I'm trying to ask ChatGPT.
What are you asking ChatGPT?
I'm really curious if we were to calculate all of the MCU films and
do this on your own time. Kirk.
No. It's ChatGPT. It's AI is so fast. We are incorporating AI into our podcast, Cam.
Add it to the resume.
We've discussed this. Total MCU. Oh my goodness. If we were to supercut, and I think we should
probably
do this.
Inaccurate.
I think we should do this. We should sit down and we'll figure out what timeline we want to do.
Just give me the number.
We'll watch from beginning to end. It's only 101 hours and 46 minutes. I think we should do it nonstop.
That's got to be just the movies.
No. It's everything. Movies, 66 hours and 15 minutes. TV shows, 35 hours and 31 minutes. It would take us 4 days, 5 hours and 46 minutes to complete nonstop.
4 days, 5 hours and 46 minutes.
Yes. Plus bathroom breaks.
I'm gonna pass.
Nope, I'm
but
doing
thank
it.
you. One of us would murder the other one during Secret Invasion. Be like, enough. I'm done.
What are those guys called? I forgot already.
The
What-
scroll.
You're a scroll.
We just turn on each other.
We
We do a live
hallucinate.
stream and it's just blood everywhere. We've killed each other.
Well,
Maybe.
Well, if you want to sponsor that event, you just hit us up anytime at contact at what's our email address? Cam?
Contact at popcornforbreakfast.com.
Hit us up anytime there. Any of our socials. We're on X. We're on Facebook. We're on everything that you can imagine. Instagram, TikTok. We're going to re-inject some power to our ongoing podcast, which is mostly weekly.
And we're working really, really hard to get to 500 YouTube subscribers. So if you are watching this, or if you're not watching this, probably even more likely, it's super easy to go to our YouTube channel. You can get it, the link in the description. You can just search Popcorn for Breakfast on YouTube. If you subscribe, that is free for you to do, and it helps us out a ton. So please subscribe.
If you subscribe, I will never show my feet on camera again.
Wow, that's a good
yeah.
one. That's a
Yeah.
good offer. Yeah, I like it. I'm going to go subscribe. Oh, wait, I already did.
He's going to unsubscribe and then resubscribe. Like, hey, wait a second.
Does that count?
Not at all.
Dang it.
Thank you so much for listening. Head out and see Thunderbolts * this weekend. Tell us what you think. We'll talk to you soon.